What's up, fellow drivers? I am not in the new 2020 Supra. I'm not in the MR2 or the GTR either. I'm in the Mazda 3 and I'm on my way to work, but I wanted to get this out as soon as possible because kind of the hot news is on the Supra and I wanted to express my opinion on the Supra. So, here are 3 reasons why the new Supra is kind of lame and some reasons why it's not. First, we'll start off with some good things. Alright, these are things that people are complaining about, but I actually don't think are lame. Okay, so the first thing I want to address is its design, alright? I don't know why people are complaining about this. Anybody who thought that the Supra should look like the FT1 concept is an idiot, okay? And they don't know how car design works, okay? Cars do not look like their concept cars. 99% of cars will look very different than whatever the concept was that you saw years ago at the show, okay? That being said, I think that it actually looks fairly close to the FT1 compared to a lot of cars and their concept cars. Like, take Subaru, for instance. They make all kinds of crazy concepts and then they do nothing like that at all. So, honestly, I give props to the Toyota designers, and I think they did a pretty good job with it as far as staying true to the design. I mean, there were certain things that were just going to be impossible to do in a production car. Now, you might not have liked the design in general, okay? It doesn't matter whether it looks like the FT1 or not. You might just think it looks bad. And I agree that it somehow looks a little too narrow or tall in a way. Like somehow the proportions aren't quite right. But overall, I actually think it's a really cool looking car. Some people complain about the nose being a little too pointy or pinched or whatever. I think that's trying to look sort of like a race car, sort of like the Enzo Ferrari. It has that sort of shape, except it's even more dramatic, kind of look like an F1 car. But overall, I think it's a very aggressive car. Some people think there's too many lines going on, it's too busy, but I think it's cool. It looks muscular, it's dynamic, and I bet it looks even better in person and especially moving than you think it looks in the pictures online. So next up is the fact that it's BMW, okay? A lot of people complain about the fact that it's basically a rebadged BMW to look like a Toyota, but I actually don't really have a problem with this. So people don't like that it has a BMW engine, and it's just too similar to the Z4, and it's not a true Toyota. Okay, to that, I say yes, an all-original Toyota would have been cool. I totally agree with that. But that's just kind of not how things work nowadays. Or for a long time, honestly. Because Toyota knows that the sports car market is small, okay? So if they can share that risk of possibly bad sales or the cost of designing and creating one, they are going to do that, okay? And partnerships totally make sense. And this is actually nothing new at all for Toyota. Take, for instance, the GT86, previously FRS/BRC, okay? So that is a partnership with Subaru, and it uses a Subaru engine, as well as, you know, just some other joint things that Toyota and Subaru worked on together. Even before that, for all my MR2 viewers, since I know there's a lot of you out there, think about the 3S GTE, okay? Toyota didn't design that engine, okay? Yamaha had a huge input, as well as some input on the 1JZ and 2JZ. So, as far as complaining that it's not all Toyota, think about a lot of cars that you already like, and maybe they're not all Toyota either. You know, and frankly, BMW makes some really great engines, so I don't see this as a problem. And I'm just excited to see a new sports car, and particularly a continuation of the Supra, okay? People have been waiting for the Mark V Supra, including myself, for a really long time. And the excitement or the hype was kind of not that much for me, honestly, just because Toyota has been talking about supposedly coming out with a new Supra for so long, even long before the FT1, and we saw other various concepts. and then they just dragged it out forever. So it kind of killed the excitement for me. But like I said, anytime a manufacturer makes a new sports car, I think it's a good thing. It's exciting, and it's good to see that, you know, the performance market is still being able to draw out these cars from manufacturers. And the fact that we're getting a 5th generation of Supra is pretty cool. So now that I've addressed what most people don't like about it, let's talk about some specs, and then we'll get to what I don't like about it. So the new Supra has 335 horsepower and 365 pound-feet of torque. So this is more than the Mark IV Supra, but not a ton more, okay? And a lot of people were expecting or wanting like a GTR competitor. That's kind of silly. The Supra was never actually a GTR competitor, and I'll talk about that again in another video. But it's actually a Z competitor, and I think it also competes with some other cars that maybe I'll talk about later on. Another interesting comparison is that it actually has a shorter wheelbase than the GT86, but the overall body is longer. Another cool thing about it is that it has an active rear diff, so we can transfer power between the left and right rear wheels. So hopefully that'll give it some pretty good dynamics and make it more fun to drive. Now, speaking of specs, this is the first thing that I don't like about it, and probably something that a lot of other people don't like either. It's an automatic, right? Now, when I say automatic, I mean a true automatic. Like, it has a torque converter, okay? This is not a dual clutch. If it was a dual clutch, that would be pretty cool, because honestly, I mean, that's the way that most really high performance cars are, such as the GTR. Now, with that said, it's an 8-speed automatic, so I don't know, but I suspect it's a variation of the ZF, okay? Which has actually had a lot of positive feedback from other automotive journalists. And it's in things like the Camaro, and generally it's well liked. Even so, it's still an automatic, okay? And I think a lot of people would have preferred a stick shift. I would have liked a stick shift option, and dual clutch definitely would have been awesome as well. Here is the second reason why the new Supra is kind of lame. Its price. So, the base is about $51,000. And the highest trim level, which is like the special launch edition, is going to be about $56,000. So this puts it in sort of a weird position, okay? It's definitely a lot cheaper than something like the NSX or the GTR, okay? And it's not supposed to compete against those, as I said. But it also puts it much more expensive than the 370Z, which starts at right about $30,000. Which the Z car from Nissan is traditionally its most direct competitor. Another possible competitor to the Supra is the Cayman, which starts at 57, and then it goes all the way up to 70 for the S, and of course you can get even more expensive depending on what options you put on it. But from that point of view, it could look like kind of a good deal. You also have the Mustang, which starts at 35 for the GT with the V8. So, I mean, I don't know. I just think it's priced in a weird spot. So it's a good deal compared to the Cayman, but of course you're not getting, you know, the Porsche brand, which is kind of silly, but some people care about that. You're not getting the more exotic mid-engine, that kind of thing. But it's really expensive compared to something like the Mustang GT or the 370Z, which, you know, they're both front engine, relatively high horsepower cars that I think is really more direct competitors to the Supra. And it's just a lot more expensive than that. I mean, starting at $51,000 versus starting at 30 or 35 is a huge difference. But now we will get to the third and biggest reason why I think the new Supra is lame. And this is something that really disappointed me, because I didn't know it at first, but when I found out, it kind of crushed my soul. All of the vents on it are fake. Alright, so this might sound kind of silly to some of you. You're like, oh, the vents are fake, what? Why is that a big deal? Or what is he even talking about? This is a huge pet peeve of mine. And maybe you'll agree with me, maybe you won't. Comment below what you think about these fake vents, okay? But you've got the most obvious one, the big one on the side, okay? It's just a trim piece in the door. It doesn't go through the door, it doesn't go into the body, it doesn't cool the rear brakes, there's no radiators, oil coolers. It's totally not functional. Then you've got some little ones up front. Those aren't functional either. Nothing is going into the wheel well. Again, nothing to cool the brakes. There's nothing going into the engine there on those little vents on the side. Again, not functional. It's just visually crap. And you've got the vents on the hood, okay? So those should theoretically be like air relief vents. Nope, again, it's fake. It's just a plastic filler piece. And on the rear, that part coming down from the taillights, it's kind of like the Camry right now, which is probably where that came from, which that's kind of a horrifying thought. But again, it's fake. That isn't air coming out of anywhere. It's just a black thing. And this is something that I kind of knew was going to happen when I saw it. I suspected those probably aren't real, but I really hoped that they were going to be real. But it's something that a bunch of manufacturers do, okay? Like the Mustang's a great example. It has that dumb scoop on the side, which does literally nothing and makes no sense. It is not a mid-engine or rear-engine car. It doesn't have any kind of additional oil coolers back there or anything like that. And they did the same thing times like 10 on the Supra. Now, scoops look cool, air relief vents look cool, and that's why they did it, okay? I mean, look at the cars that I have. Those scoops on the hood of the GTR, those are functional. All the air inlets on the MR2, those are functional. Everybody likes those, okay? It gives the impression of high performance. And when they're real, it makes a lot of sense, and it does. It looks cool, and it serves a purpose. But when they're fake, it's just tacky and lame. Like, I don't get that. What is the point? Think about how you would feel about people doing that in the aftermarket, okay? Like, you've all seen those chrome little vent things that people stick on their fenders to look like it has like an air relief that's supposed to copy something kind of like the M3 that they have on their fenders. Nobody likes those. No real car enthusiast likes those. Okay? It's lame because it's tacky, it's fake, it's just something that they stuck on the fender that doesn't actually do anything. Or think about some kind of riced out Civic where somebody put some giant hood scoop thing on their car, but there's no way for the air to actually go through it. There's no like V-mount intercooler or anything like that. Okay, everybody thinks that's lame, and they're either laughing at the guy, which don't be mean, don't really do it, or they're just snickering to themselves about it because they're like, this doesn't do anything, it's tacky. Toyota is doing that from the factory, okay? The OEM manufacturer is slapping on these fake tacky air vents. All right, I think I'm done now, but I'd be really interested to know what you guys think about the Supra. Let me know if you agree with me. Do you like the air vents? Do you like the other things I talked about it? What's your problems with it? Tell me why you think it's lame or cool. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next video.